Done that before.
Someone just said, is audio working from Gridiron Hub? Sorry guys, you should be able to hear us now. Let us know if you can't. Well, actually you can't let us know if you can't, can you? Let us know if you can hear us.
Hello.
Yeah, I don't know if you can check it, but it doesn't matter. Right, well, let's
Checking
go
it
again.
now.
At least we get another chance at
we're
this. This is first episode glitches and teaming problems, but I've got the audio looks like it's working now, guys. Cheers, Luke Clark, for letting us know, mate. So I'll do a brief intro again. Luke liked the stream. Cheers. Chris Breen said the sound works now. Cheers, Chris. Appreciate that. Britball with the Breens. So this is our first Gridiron Hub live episode show. I don't really know how to frame it, but what we do, what this has come about from the Madden streams that we've been doing. We streamed 3 tournaments. Really good success with it. Really good engagement, and quite often when I was streaming or anyone else actually, we'd go off piste and we'd start talking about Britball or football or anything else, and it just sort of has created this idea, led to this idea of doing a weekly show, but with different people hosting and different people co-hosting and different formats to it. So the one today that we're going to be getting into, what should good Britball clubs have in place. It's quite a meaty conversation. There's a lot to it. I don't know how long we're going to take. I don't know if we have to split it over 2 episodes, but we're going to go for it. I've got this like matrix you can see on screen here. I've got 2 co-hosts, which I introduce themselves in a minute, and we've all got access to this matrix, and it's basically like a virtual whiteboard that we can brainstorm on. So we've got different sticky labels. I'll get into that in a second, but yeah, the idea is to have, this first show is to have a Wilkin, for some reason you're still there, but Will's dropped off, but let's see if he comes back. So the idea is to have like quite different shows, different people leading them, different topics talked about, different things covered. We're looking at doing quizzes and competitions and all that sort of stuff. So now that you can hear me and you've heard that, I will get my co-hosts to introduce themselves again, but you'll hear it this time. So I've got you've jumped down to the other box, Wilkin, because Will's gone, but you're oh no, you haven't. You're on the right box. So Adam Wilkin is with us. Wilkin, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself and sort of repeat yourself, basically?
Yeah, I'll repeat myself. So I'm Adam Wilkin. I'm head coach of Gated Tenant Academy. So, of our under 13, under 17 schools program. I'm also head coach of some.
I think your audio's cutting out, Wilkin. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, it was sort of going to and from. Will, are you still there? I think you're saying you're there.
I am here. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can't see you. So
I know.
Your webcam's gone. Okay, do you want to just, while you sort your webcam out, do you want to just quickly introduce yourselves to everyone and then we can get stuck in?
Yeah, so basically I'm Will. I've been involved over the past 8-9 years with numerous university clubs around Northwest, local adult clubs as well, and that's from player, committee, coach. So I've done a bit of everything, to be honest.
Cool. And
get the camera working.
Yeah, I know. Hurry up. I'll buy you some time by introducing myself. Looks like you're coming back in. So there you are, mate. Hello. You gone again? Anyway, I'm just going to ignore you while you sort it out. So guys, I'm Steve. I run Gridiron Hub, and I've been involved in Britball for, I think 2006 is when I started in Britball. I first started playing American football in 1994 in the States. So I played in the States, I played in the UK and in Europe. I still like the idea of continuing playing, so I still don't consider myself finished playing yet. But I'm not playing it, obviously no one's playing at the moment, but I'm looking to return after a couple of years out next season. I think being in the position I am with Gridiron Hub, I feel like I've got quite a lot to say on this subject, and that's why I wanted to start with this. Wilkin, with his background and in what he currently does within the youth and the developing part of the sport, really interested in hearing what he's got to say on this. So we're using this software called Mural. So Wilkin and Will have we've all got access to this, and it's basically coloured sticky notes really that they put on. And you can see mine are yellow, Will's will be green, and Adam's will be purple. So when we get to it, what we're going to do is just drag and drop and type in things where I've put this matrix. And what I want to do is we'll start with players, then we'll look at it from a coach's perspective and then a fan's perspective. So the answering the question, what should good Britball clubs have? Now, I've put all levels, Div 2, Div 1 and Prem. I don't know if there is going to be a difference between those, but I wanted to allow it for it in this. We may say that everything's at all one level, but I do think people do hold the Prem to a higher standard, and they expect that. So I'm expecting that to come out. I've then also put like a dotted line between each of them, and what I'm thinking with that, and we'll see how it plays out, is like the below the line is like essential stuff that you need, and then above it is all it's like non-essential, but we think a good club should have it, right? You guys get that? Does that make sense? Yeah, cool. So before we start, actually, Will, what were we talking about just before the stream went live?
We were talking about the Smider Cup.
Yeah. So tell me what you were saying about it. So the Smider Cup, for those of you that haven't heard of it or heard about it, I think this is like their third or fourth year that this group of guys have done a charity event, and they've done, I think, the Avengers before, Marvel versus DC or something, and
to be fair, I've been involved in every single one.
Have you? Right. Okay. Cool. Well, you're best to talk about it then. Tell us.
Mike. So I know Mike, who's organised the. Well, this is the first year they've called it the Smider Cup. In the past, it has been DC.
But they've only called it the Smider Cup because it's a parody of the Ryder Cup, right?
He actually, to be fair to Mike, he had the Smider Cup running before, but that was more of a drinking game than a football game. So it's something he's done when he was the head coach of the one of the universities. But the charity game, like I say, we've done Jedi versus Sith, Marvel versus DC, all that sort of stuff, and to be fair, I feel a bit sorry for Mike. He's done this every year bar last year. Wasn't Mike's fault. I think he was busy, and what's happened is, because there's obviously been no football this year, a lot of players have jumped on to this as an opportunity
to play this year, right?
Play football, which is not Mike's fault. And Mike being Mike and being the good-hearted guy he is trying to turn this into a format to raise as much money for a charity as he can.
Yes.
That being said, I know a lot of teams and members, maybe more senior members of teams, are a little bit disappointed that it's not sanctioned by BAFA.
But why? Who cares?
Exactly.
Why? Sorry, not who cares. Do you know who cares? Why do they care?
Why do they care? Because a lot of people are worried about insurance, and that's something that hopefully we'll get into in this. I mean, the truth is, it's never really been, as far as I'm concerned, a BAFA sanctioned event. It's never been a full-on knock shit out of each other game. It's always been a bit of a chill game, no special teams, and it's always been about making money for charity. So to see people jump on it this year, I think obviously Mike put out the statement last week that obviously BAFA have not confirmed whether they can go ahead with it.
It doesn't, but from what I read from the statement and what I understand from it, I didn't do a post on that, but I did a post on this before because there were so many people asking about it and
mystifying it.
It was demystifying. I wrote that thing, right, and if you read it, I don't know if you have read it, but if you read it, I basically went into it not really knowing about it. I knew about Thunder and Herd, so it's the same people that organise the Thunder and Herd, right? That organise these.
Kind of. They're a lot more aligned this year than they have been in the past.
Right. Okay. So, I thought it was just the same people, but yeah. So I looked it up. I read all their posts, and if you actually went onto the event, the Smider Cup event on Facebook, I must have read about 6 or 7 posts at the time of the demystifying article.
Yeah.
and there was every answer for every question you could possibly get. Like the article wrote itself for me, you know, like as I was thinking of stuff, it was like answered, you know, like, and I thought, hold on, these guys are being completely transparent. And like even released video and saying, look, you guys are confusing Team USA and Team Europe with, you know, with like professional or semi-professional. And I'm telling you, the event's called the Schneider Cup. It's a parody. It's just what we're calling the clubs. So I don't know this guy, right? You obviously, you know, I felt for him just reading his responses, because I think you're right. He's sort of been a victim of the fact that there's just been so much attention on it because of coronavirus, right? On all the pandemic restrictions.
And if there hadn't have been the coronavirus, it wouldn't have been this big, and we'd have just had the American versus the Europes, and we'd have each chosen what team we wanted to play for, like we have done in the past. It's the fact that it's grown bigger from that. I think the thing that irks me about the people who are not involved with it is them jumping on the fact that it's not a BAFTA sanctioned event, and as such, you know, it shouldn't be allowed to go ahead.
I don't understand. I don't
that's just
understand
ridiculous.
It. I've been part of charity games before, and they're not BAFTA sanctioned, but they don't have to be. Like, it's like so think about it, like, so all BAFTA are the governing body, right? So like, think about it in terms of football, right? So they're the FA Football Association to American football. Well, you can organise a charity soccer game, and you don't have to tell the FA about it, and they don't have to sanction it, right? So, and I understand the sport's different, and there's a lot more. It's a lot more involved. There's full contact, all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, all they need to do is look after the national team and their leagues, right? Like they don't. We're not in a situation where they have to sanction everything. It looks like they've engaged with them, with BAFTA on it. BAFTA have said no, you know, we don't want to, and I can understand BAFTA doing that. I get that.
That's their opinion.
Completely fine, but then, maybe someone will come up in the chat and say it, but I'll have a quick look. But yeah, I don't get it.
Last thing I want to say on it, and I really feel strongly about this, is if you don't want to play, don't play.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, do you know, it's really easy to not play in this. Yeah.
Are you going to be insured? No. Then don't play if that's a big issue for you. Or go and get your own insurance.
Well, no. See, on the insurance thing, man, they say, because I looked into this, and it may sound like I really looked deep into it. I looked at one Facebook page that's available for it when you search Schneider Cup, and everything's on there, and they say you have to, like, there's like a fee, and they break down what the fee is. I can't remember, it's 50 quid or whatever. I can't remember how much it is. And they say, plus you need to pay for your own insurance. So, and what's that, like 10, 15 quid to get yourself insured for a game or whatever? Like,
you probably couldn't, to be honest, you probably couldn't do it for one game. But we will definitely talk about this later when we get into the next bit, because it's something I'm going to talk about.
Yeah. So yeah, I just thought, look. So anyway, just to pick up in the chat. Hey, Stuart's there. Hello, Stu. He said, evening all. While we're on the topic of non-BAFTA sanctioned games, do people have such an issue with the 8v8 league too? Very good point. So there is an 8v8 league called the 8GL, I think. 8GL. I've put all their teams into the Find a Club feature on Gridiron Hub, and they're like a breakaway from BAFTA. They're not part of BAFTA. Obviously, they're not BAFTA sanctioned either, and people don't seem to have a problem with them. You know,
to be honest,
it's a really odd thing.
Yeah, I think people are probably a bit jealous of the good kind of notoriety it's got as well. You know, why didn't we think of that? But this is something that's just been going on for years. This is not a penis measuring exercise. It never has been. It's just been a group of mates who, you know, there's a load of old boys playing, like, you know, I see people at these charity games that I've not seen in years. It's
you know what? That's the point of them. Like, so, you know, I think the charity games are awesome because they bring people out of the woodwork. Like, you can't commit to a season because you've got kids or a job or whatever now, and it's all different. You could do the odd game though, you know. You could do a little few weeks preparation and get stuck into a charity match. So you will see that, you know. And to your point, you know, the charity games that I played in, while I definitely wanted to win, like, don't get me wrong, it is a lot more light-hearted. It is a laugh, you know, like in between the snaps and all that. It's just a bit of a jolly version of the sport, you know. And thoroughly enjoyed it.
The last charity game I played in, a lineman got flagged for being too fat. That was the level of the game, though.
Quality.
And I tell a lie. He got flagged for being too sexy because the top was so tight for him, he couldn't get it over his full belly.
Right.
And that was like, and to be fair, it was Bafra refs, but they were doing it as a favour.
I don't see the problem with that. Bafra are completely separate to Bafra.
They got paid for it.
And like, yeah, I would actually see that as a more responsible thing to do. Like another reason why you can't take shots at it. But yeah, I don't understand. But to your, like, on your point, you said you've heard like murmurs and rumours and people not liking it. I haven't seen anything about that stuff. People moaning about it, but then I'm not that close to it. I must admit. We lost Wilkin. He'll be back in a sec.
To be fair, it helps that I'm coaching in it. So
yeah. What's your role in it?
I'm the Team Canada OC.
Ah, cool. I didn't know that.
Got shafted on that one, but that's a story for another day.
Right, so let's get straight into this, right? Well, not straight into it. We've been going for about 20 minutes, but let's get into this now. What level? Where should we start with? What players want or coaches? I think coaches is probably.
We're going to start with coaches.
Let's start with coaches because you guys have coached. I dabbled in it. I'm not interested in being a coach, right? But I can have I've got a couple of ideas. So let's start dropping stuff in there, right? I'll set the timer for a couple of minutes. And guys in the chat, if you've got any suggestions you want added in, let me know in the chat. I mean, if I get too many, I can't add them all in, but I'll add some stuff in. And remember, guys, above the line is like nice to have, I suppose, and then below the line is need to have, like essential stuff, right?
I'm concentrating.
Yeah, cool. I'll leave you to it. Teams paying for coaching registrations. Okay, cheers, Joe. I'm going to add that one in, mate. I'm going to put that as a nice to have.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
When we're talking about coaches, can we encompass this kind of the stuff behind the scenes of coaches?
Yeah. Like anything to do. Think of it from this position, right? You're a coach and you're going to be at a club. What do you expect that club to have?
What's that noise? Is that a time limit?
Yeah. It's all good. You can keep going. I'm still going.
I generally thought we were taking off then. Can you please get ready for landing?
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I love this bit of software. I found it at work.
So wait there, below the...
What's that, mate? You can't move it. There you go.
is.
I've got to put that. I've got to ask. Been a team, you turn up a bag.
Some cones.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you've turned up and they've got like blocking pad. All right, where's some cone? Oh, I don't have any.
But that's like, these are essential things, right? Like that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing how you guys approach it anyway. But is it possible to make the font bigger? Yeah, Jamie. What we'll do is we'll be able to zoom in and we can drag and drop stuff. So don't worry, you won't miss anything. It's just I've got like it in full view while we ride it up. But I can zoom it. Look, I can zoom in on everything. So don't worry, you won't miss anything out. If you've got any suggestions, mate, just let us know.
Atrocious.
Trying to edit something that just disappeared.
Where's spell checker when you need it?
Oh, don't mate, I'm dyslexic.
Dyslexic.
No worries, Jamie.
You've missed one off there for me, Steve.
I've missed one off for you. What do you mean?
Yeah. You've got players, coaches, fans, but I think you should just the team as a general. So I'm kind of putting that in the coaches box.
There's nothing. Yeah. I did think about that, like club. I was going to put fans and club together. That's what I was going to do. Because I think fans is quite light. You know, it'd be quite light, right? Like.
You really huddle for all divisions.
I can't hear what you're saying, Wilkin.
Something about cuddling, I'm sure he did.
Can you hear us better now?
Yeah. You've got to worry about the echo.
Right. Do you really think huddle for all divisions?
Well, this is what I want to talk about because I think there's varying levels for huddle. But yeah, that's what I want to talk about, and I don't mind shifting that. I think it's what I didn't. Do you know what? I didn't want to put it at like a higher level, and that's why I put it in like nice to have rather than need to have. But I didn't want to say, oh, Div 1 need it, Div 2 don't. You know. But I want to talk about that.
I mean, huddle for me is just a luxury at the minute in time.
Well, that's why it's in that top bit.
Yeah.
Is it top? Sorry, I've got this wrong. Which is the must-have bit?
The what bit?
Bottom.
Yeah, so the bottom is like essential. Don't worry, you can overlap them and shit. It doesn't matter. Like, we can just move stuff around. Will, you really thought about this, mate, and you got loads of stuff. Well, I'll give you guys, because I ain't got nothing else to add, I don't think, for this. I'll give you guys one more minute.
Can you need to turn your
Yeah, we can hear an echo because of your speaker.
Is it echoing again now? Right, I'll put the mic back in.
Stuart said video analysis of all teams could be just Google Drive or Dropbox, but huddle from Div 1 up for sure. Yeah, okay, that's an interesting point. Yeah, do you know what? I probably should have. Yeah, I meant video analysis. I don't care if it's huddle or not, but there is a couple of features of huddle that I do think benefit players as well, like creating highlight reels. But you don't need huddle to do that, right? But yeah, I'm going to change that actually. So I want to put video analysis just so I'm not brand specific because I don't care which format it is.
Right, we're going to try now. Is that mic better now?
Much better, yeah.
Right, I've done the thing you said before, so it's going through the computer now.
Bloody hell.
Nailed it.
Cracked it, boys. It's why we don't
Only
need
20
Britball. I can't even use a computer.
Oh, I've got one more.
Right, go on then, chuck it in, and then we'll start talking about them, right? So Stuart said not a Div 2, it doesn't.
I'm good.
Okay, Wilkin, any more for you to add?
Nah, mate, I'm good there.
Right, so I don't want to start with mine. I want to start with your stuff, and I'm going to start with Wilkin. We're going to go through yours first, right? That's okay. So I'm zooming in on your. Oh shit! I didn't mean to drag that.
Right, please ignore the spelling.
Oh yeah, don't worry
It's
about
tiny
that.
writing.
So your first thing is Wilkin. Actually, let's look at the essentials first, right? So first aid trained.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
all coaches should be first aid trained.
Agree.
Like,
So every
Completely
single
agree.
coach.
point. Yeah, I mean, for me, if you do your level 1 in soccer or badminton or something, like, you do a first aid
Yeah.
qualification as well.
Don't they do emergency aid and not first aid?
Well, realistically, even if you've got emergency aid, well, it's something. Like, for me, we play a contact sport. Concussions happen constantly. Breaks happen. Everyone should be qualified to be able to help someone in pain.
Yeah.
Like,
Agree.
Okay, and I'm going to group your
For me,
next
I've
two
got-
together. So you've put correct. Actually, no, correct balls on some cones is slightly different. Let's start with correct balls. Now, I think I know that you coach at different levels, and it must be quite frustrating
Yeah.
when the right size ball isn't available. Is this where this is coming from?
well, it's not just that. Like, I've seen, when you go to a session and we're going to practice field goals, or don't use that ball to kick with, use the £3 Sports Direct ball to kick with. Like, no. Like, I hate when people pull out of a bag that you've got NFL standard balls in there, and you're like, why practice with an NFL ball when it's different to what we use on a game day? Like, that to me is just basic stuff.
So, So you've had experience of clubs or
Yeah,
coaches
like-
using cheaper balls for kicking because they don't want to ruin the good balls.
Yeah, I mean, not just that, like, so from experience this year, when I turned up to Sunderland University, and we got the ball bag out, and there was like an NFL ball in the bag, and I was like, right, we're not using. And they were like, oh, why? I was like, well, it's a different size, different shape. It's not the ball that we can use on a game day. Why is it in the bag? Like, it's like me turning up to training and they've got a javelin in the bag. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not going to use it.
Yeah,
Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
gotcha. A couple of comments here from Stuart in the chat, and guys, just to let you know, on Twitch or on Facebook, if you guys make comments or leave messages in the chat, I'll get them on screen and I'll read them out. So if you do want to get involved in this, agree with something, disagree with it, even add something in, let us know and we'll talk about it. Just to catch up, so Stuart said he agrees with about the first aid piece. He said an emergency aid first aid qualified coach should be at all sessions, but you're not saying that. You're saying every coach should be
I'm saying every coach.
should be trained.
Every coach. Like, come on. Like, even now, if people are training like groups of 5 players and you're spread out across a field for COVID, what happens if one person from that group goes down? The other coach can't come over because then they're breaking rules. They should be first aid qualified.
Well, that's a short-term thing, though. But I do agree with you that we should have more people emergency and first aid trained.
Yeah, there should be more to the level 1 qualification for this sport, in my opinion.
It's the easiest level 1 I've ever done.
Stuart said again. I agree with Wilkin. Composite balls are wank. Stuart said it's like turning up to a soccer session with a fly-away ball. Yeah. So yeah.
It's true.
Cool.
It's true.
And your other point about some cones.
Yeah.
So I think you were latching onto my blocking and tackle. Oh, I messed about tackle. Tackle pads.
Tackle.
Yeah, I mean, it's all well and good. Like, come into a training session and you've got 100 pads and you've got a sled and all that. But at the end of the day, some of the best drills you can use have just got a few cones.
Have you
Like,
been at
it
a
is-
club or a session that hasn't had cones then?
Yes,
Really?
yes, yes.
That's painful.
Honestly, you can go into my car now, right? And I've got every different size football in the boot, as well as the stand-up cones, and the little flat cones.
Yeah.
Just because I'm sick of going somewhere and they don't have them.
Cool.
Honestly.
Right, so moving on. And guys, let me know. Hopefully this is big enough on your screens. I can zoom in actually even more. Let me do that. You've got at least... So you've put this into an essential for Div 2 level, right?
Yeah.
And you've said at least 3 level 1 coaches.
Yeah. So, for me, at this minute in time, I think... Right.
Isn't
there's gonna be loads of
that's the
people.
current standard though, isn't it? The BAFA are going to be
Yes.
enforcing.
Yeah, but... Right, so... They can enforce it all that they want, okay? But my thing is, they need to have 3 on a game day. If they've got that at university level, where you've got to have 3 level 1 coaches on
Do
the game
they?
day.
Is that at university level?
Yeah. Yeah, it is, yeah.
Wow.
You've got to have 3 level 1s. If you don't have that, you're not allowed to play the game.
So you're saying it's not just enough to have them on the books.
You've got
So
to
does
have
this ring true for game day as well as training, or are you saying training is different?
Well, I've put it down mainly for a game day, but yeah, I think training is still in the same boat. You should have... There's no point training if you're not giving out your coaches there.
Dominic
Because then
D
it's just
is
a group
on
of mates
YouTube has
throwing a
said
ball
beer
around.
on ice. That's his suggestion.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense. So are you saying sort of like as part of like a card check, a club has to show 3
Yeah,
coaches on the sideline that are at least level 1.
yeah.
Otherwise, they forfeit the
Yeah.
game. Is it that serious?
Yeah, for me, I think it is. Like, again, if you're looking after a team, like, I mean, what they brought the minimum now to for a Division 2 game to go ahead.
I can't remember. Something like that.
So, even if it's like 18 players or something like that. So if we're talking about, if we're bringing first aid back into it, for example, so if a coach is playing a training game or something like that, where it's a scrimmage where you don't have referees, you don't have all of this, and a coach has to look after a player that's hurt while you've got medics arriving or whatever, you've then got 2 other coaches that can supervise the game. Like, to be fair, right, if you are coaching, this is from experience because I coach in schools and things as well, you need to be able to cover your back on everything. Like, we're in the age now of getting sued for anything. So, for me, I think that should be a minimum standard so you can cover your back across all bases and still let things run smoothly and safely.
Okay. Yep. Then you've moved up, so you've increased this to at D1 level. You've said that
Yeah.
the OC and the DC should be level 2 at a minimum. So you should not be able to be
Yeah.
an offensive or defensive coordinator at Div 1 unless you've got a level 2 qualification.
Can I just say, I've read that wrong. I thought he meant they had to be over 12 years old.
No, I think
I'm like, what does he mean 12 minimum?
No, it's an
the
L2.
reason I'm saying that is so that you're getting a better standard of football essentially. I think they should put some worth in being a Division 1 team and being an offensive or defensive coordinator. Now, if we're saying, right, you've got to be at this standard minimum to progress up to that level, surely more players, or more coaches rather, are going to look to educate themselves further to progress.
Yeah, see, I like that point. So I work in learning and development in my real job, and that's why I don't want to go into coaching, because I don't want to be doing developing people on my day job and then do it I just want to smash people up on the weekends, right? So anyway, but I think that's a really strong point there, Adam, is that you actually have got, if you've got the coordinator and above, I'd expect you head coach level as well, you group into that as level 2, then actually they can bring on their more junior coaches, right? Like they can sort of show them the way, and they've got that level of status as well. I actually think from a development perspective, it actually makes a lot of sense as well. As well as hierarchically, which probably isn't such a strong point, but yeah, I like your point about if you're going to be you put a bit of prestige on it. You want to be a Div 1 coordinator. There's not loads of them about, and I think I've never paid any attention to it before, but I understand it. I think it makes sense. Will, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, it in the past, it's been difficult to take your level 2. They've not always been on. I wanted to take my level 2 when I was coaching, 4 times a week, and I couldn't find anywhere local to take my level 2. So it's not, in the past, it's not been as easy to get your level 2. And to be fair, the one guy I knew who took his level 2 had to drive 2 hours there on a Sunday and 2 hours back. It was just ridiculous. But I think these days with they've changed the format now. I think it goes up to a level 3, doesn't it? I completely agree. It's absolutely essential. I mean, level 1, your ground could take. You can't fail your level 1, and level 2, it does require a bit more knowledge. So completely agree.
Cool. And then your last one, Wilkin. You've put this at the Prem level. Minimum again. You've put a lot of minimum standards in. Actually, I think all of yours are going to be minimum standards, aren't they?
Pretty much.
You've put coach educators. What do you mean by that? Explain that one.
So what I mean by that is, at the minute, what we've got is from BAFCA, where they've got their coach educators in place, where if they want to put on a level 1, they have to go and deliver it somewhere. So what I would like from a Prem team, where we've got them dotted around a bit, we've got some Prem teams in the north, some in the south. Their head coaches, they become coach educators, do the qualification, and then they can pass it on to other teams. Now,
great.
Every team wants to go out there and get better and become a Prem team. So the head coaches are passing the knowledge. Like, you've got USA Sport now, or US Football America, all of these places giving it the whole pass the knowledge, this coaches thing. So let's stand by it, get these guys educating the other coaches and the teams around the area. Like, there's no harm teaching a coach to get his level 1, getting his level 2. He's not asking for your playbook. Like, share the knowledge, pass it on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. I do get it. I think it's a good idea, but I don't think that should be a standard for every. I think that I would consider that as a nice to have rather than a need to have. Like, to put it as a minimum standard for every single. So, but are you saying it's just the head coaches, or are you saying that each club needs to have one coach educator?
I think each club. I'm not saying it has to be the head coach, because obviously a lot of people have got different commitments outside of the sport. I think as a team, as an organisation, if you're in the Premiership, you should have someone available at any length of time. So whether it's like, can we put a course on in 3 weeks' time? Yes, we can do that date, sort of thing. Get someone that can.
Would this be a potential? Would this be a potential revenue stream for the club as well? Would they earn money from that?
I would think so. If a person has got to pay for the coach educator course from BAFCA, surely they can be reimbursed by delivering the course to other people in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And travelling expenses and all that stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I think it's a no-brainer when it comes to if we need more coaches and we haven't got enough people that can deliver it, get these guys the qualifications and they can do it.
Do you know, because you're much closer to this than I, and I've never even thought about this before, so that's why it's good to have you on it, mate. Do you know how many coach educators there are in the UK at the moment?
Ooh, I'm not sure off the top of my head. I know there's. I don't think there's many. I mean,
that
was in Durham.
I was going to say, when I took my level 1, there was 1. Now we're talking years ago. But when I took my level 1, there was only 1 guy who delivered it.
Right. Okay.
I'd say you could count it on one hand how many there are these days.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the perception. It'd be interesting to actually know, wouldn't it? The actual number.
I think it's more. I think it's around 10 or so.
Okay.
People that can deliver it. I mean, there's been people that can do it in the past that I don't know if they've kept up with it and things, but it's one of those where this would solve that problem.
Okay.
For me, that's why I think it's an urgent thing.
Cool. Oh, sorry, and the one we missed here. Sorry, Adam, we missed one of yours. Teams pay for CPD, and you've got that as a nice to have. Talk about that one.
Well, so obviously BAFCA brought in where you've got to keep up with your CPD and things. For me, and a lot of other coaches, we mainly volunteer. It's a volunteer thing where we're putting my hand in my pocket to coach. I mean, I'm lucky where it's my job also, but for a lot of other coaches, where if they've got to keep paying for these courses to do, I mean, there is plenty of free ones also, but a first aid qualification, it lasts like 3 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think clubs should pay for it. Like, if a club can go, right, we need this to compete. Like,
well, that's it. I think if it is, I think if it is something that, like as you've said, to bring in as like minimum requirement to have this stuff in place, then the club should pay for it or subsidise it. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, but then, so what? Why should the coaches get their stuff paid for, not the players?
So, I mean, that comes down to a player is there to play the sport, enjoy it. A coach is there to facilitate it. So, in my opinion, the coach has to be the one that's qualified. The coach has to be the one that he's got the responsibility. It's all run safely. Like, a player can turn up and tee off on someone and forget about it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
The coach has got to come and make sure his drill's safe, make sure he's qualified, make sure he's insured.
Yeah.
It's his responsibility. If something happened, it falls back on him.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I think it should be a perk for a coach.
Yeah, I think that's a fair argument. Stuart said no, there's definitely double figures, but no more than 25 in terms of the educators. Cheers, Stuart. Okay, Will, over to you and your green stickers.
I've done too many.
Well, yeah. Well, let's talk about them. So, you're saying that coaches want, or from a coaching perspective, there should be qualified BAFRA coaches. What does that mean?
What I mean by that is I actually think every team in the country should have one of them coaching staff who is qualified under BAFRA. And to be able to, because I firmly believe that the BAFRA don't do a good enough job of recruiting themselves, and half the problem with certainly the lower divisions in this country is the fact that they don't have referees who turn up to the games. And what happens is the coaches, level one coaches, end up refereeing a game when they've got absolutely no experience of doing so. We've all seen the messages. Well, I know I certainly have. I come from a Division 2 and, a couple of years in Division 1 background, where you get a message saying X team needs a coach on Friday. Needs a ref on Sunday. They're paying 40 quid. Me as a level 1 coach who took a course which took 6 hours and taught me how to tackle with my heads up, could go and referee a football match and earn 40 quid.
Yeah. So my only challenge on that, I think you justified it really well. Stuart's popped up and said, love the idea. My only challenge on that is that this problem only exists at Div 2 level, doesn't it? We don't have that problem in Prem or Div 1. So maybe it should be a Div 2 only.
Well, no. The reason I wanted it over all divisions is because I think, like, for example, say the London Warriors have not got a game, that coach would go and ref a Div 2 game.
Shouldn't he be coaching the London Warriors?
Yeah. What I'm saying is, if it's only one coach, it's not going to be every week. It helps BAFRA a load of games covered that aren't usually covered. They're earning money for it as well. I just firmly believe that every club should have one person who can referee local games, of their own club and others if needed, available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. I feel that at like the Prem level, you'll struggle to get someone to agree to that.
Maybe.
I do. That's based on my own experience, though. I may be completely wrong. And maybe the answer is that maybe at the Prem level, rather than a coach being qualified, they have to, I don't know, pay for a ref locally to, you know, like sponsor a ref or something. I don't know.
The ref situation at the minute, is their uniforms too expensive?
I don't get it. I don't know what the because so like the refs seem to be the only people in the whole of Britball that make money, right? And
we talked about their profit the other, their current bank profit the other week, which was ridiculous.
Yeah, so you know they make money as an organisation. The individuals that get involved make money. So I don't see what the problem is. Like, how can that be hard to recruit for people? Like, so even if there is a lump up front, 200 quid, whatever. Well, you just say, well, you know, after a season, you've got your money back, and where you go. Like, I don't like it was. It's like when so I used to be a doorman, and you have to pay to be a doorman. You have to pay a SIA license. You have to pay to do all these bloody courses. It doesn't stop there being doorman. It's the same sort of thing. I don't get it.
It's not though, and this is why it's not, because you can earn a living from being a doorman.
No, that wasn't my living. I did it Fridays and Saturdays. As a social life.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but did we ask you to wait 10 weeks minimum before you would earn even 1 day's worth of money? Because referees have got to be like a practice official, would you say? Like learn the game in training for 10 games.
They don't get paid for the first 10 games, do they?
Yeah, that's like 40. Like if you're talking like it's a 4 game. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't agree with that. I didn't know about that, but yeah. I'd say that's a bigger hurdle than anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Surely they should be on like a cut down wage rather than no wage.
No, they should earn a full wage.
The referees association recently have just changed.
No, if they're like shadowing someone, are we talking about shadowing someone? Are they actually like a line judge or whatever?
Yeah,
if you take a new employee on at work and he shadows you for 10 days, he's still getting full pay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's when you put the obstacles in place that they've got, the whole uniform thing, where it is ridiculous. And I mean, Bafra's just changed their uniform policy from a 2-inch stripe to a 1-inch, or vice versa. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter in the slightest.
Yeah, I think
if they come turned up like a football referee with a yellow jersey with a red and yellow.
Yeah, Bafra take them. From my experience, Bafra take themselves way too seriously as an organisation. They're good. But they act elitist, and that's the problem. And I think that's another barrier of entry. That like they do have problems, that's fine, you know, and people are willing to help them. But I don't think they help themselves with some of their policies. And just hearing a couple of things that you guys have spoke about that I'd never heard about before, I just think, well, like that, you kit thing, like who cares? You genuinely, who cares?
You know what it is? I can't.
Nonsense.
The referees that we've got in our area here, I can't fault. I'm not gonna lie to you, like I can't fault the guys that we've got here.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've had different referees turn up to our I've invited them down to our youth and junior practices or university practice just to go over the rules with the guys.
Yeah.
Explain how they expect to be taught, and they're not getting paid for that. They're not getting paid to come down. They just do it because they love the game. And you know what I mean? There's so many other people that would do that, but these barriers that are put in place are stopping them. Yeah. And it needs to disappear.
Completely agree.
Yeah, so I don't know, like, so the more you talk about that stuff, the more I think, well, the solution doesn't sit on qualifying a coach. The solution sits with removing a lot of these barriers and some of these ridiculous things that are in place, right? Like,
maybe that's another way of looking at it.
Let's try that first before we make our well, not make them, but you know, ask a number of coaches to get qualified, semi-qualified as, or whatever the qualification level is, as Bafra coaches. Just it feels like we're trying to remedy the solution rather than the problem.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Anyway, so Luke's popped up and said,
Bafra at the minute.
What's that, mate?
Ollie, the head of recruitment at Bafra this year, he's brought on a lot of referees so far, and I think he is doing a good job.
Oh yeah, he is. And well, I remember at Gridiron Hub, we did a huge push for him, or with him, like pushing people towards him, and like they had this like a month where they had more applications than ever. You know, like I do see this as like a problem that clubs can help them solve, and people are willing to help them solve it. Look at it, you know. Look, Will has made a suggestion. You know, like people want this problem solved. They're not. No one's laughing at Baffa here, but Bafra. But I don't feel Bafra embrace the opportunity to make things easier for themselves. You know, they don't. I think if anyone was watching this, they probably would just dismiss what we're saying. Like there's no like feedback loop to them, and I feel that they put a lot of. They're very. It's like a almost like a Freemasons type approach where you've got steeped in tradition, so you can't change anything. That's what it feels like with them. And I'll say elitist, you know, and that's what I mean. Is like it's like the oh, we can't do that because it's improper. You know, like who gives a fuck? You know, like I just think like. There's
we just want to play football.
Yeah. Just help people. Let's help people. Let's help people ref. Let's help people play. That should be their attitude, and I don't think it is. But anyway, Luke Clark has said, I'm interested in the coaching debate. Are coaches that are more committed willing to pay for their own registration in CPD? Are coaches that are more committed willing to pay for their own?
So I work. It's my job to coach American football. I go into schools to coach. I'm more than happy to pay for mine. More than happy. But I just think people that are coming down on a Sunday and volunteering and aren't earning anything from it, clubs should put a hand in the pocket and help them out.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, let's move on to the next one for you, Will. Associate to a uni team. Talk about that. That's a chunky one, right?
Oh no!
It feels like we could talk about a whole hour about this one. Go on, let me hear what you got to say.
I think every club within the Baffa hierarchy should be associated with a local university team.
Well, at least one, right? Because there's some that could have 2 or 3.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you've got one, and the reason for that is obviously you can provide them with coaches, but it also helps with recruitment.
I don't know. Yeah, I think the recruitment thing. I think so, and this is something I learned like running Gridiron Hub. Like so, I was a player for years, and I just sort of like I'd play my games, and then in September after the final, if I got to the final, I was done. I was done till January. You know, and now like from running Gridiron Hub, I was like, and then we started doing Uniball, and I was like, all right, so just don't stop, you know, like, and I think some people, particularly based on their lives and stuff, like they might have agreement with their missus that it's okay to just do football for in the summer, but we get you in the winter and stuff, and like or some people just like. I just want to forget about football until I need to think about it again. They don't want to just do it perpetually.
I get that. I was one of them. One of them coaches. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that every coach who coaches at adult has to coach at uni. What I'm saying is, if you've got coaches there who want to coach at uni, because they're associated with them, they've got that opportunity. Mm-hmm. You've got university head coaches who've never, don't know much. And the problem with universities, it's run by students. It's not run by the coaches. It's very different to adult football, which is run by committees and adults. Yeah. Bucks League is run by students. Your committee is of students, 18, 19, 20-year-old lads.
Yeah, and Instagram's hilarious because of it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, there needs to be that association where, where you're going, do you know what? Same with the facilities. They can help each other out. They train at different times of the year, share facilities and all that sort of stuff. I just think if there was that association, it just kind of marries the two together and makes the quality of life for both programs in different ways better.
Okay, Stuart's popped up with a couple of questions on this aimed at you, Will, or for you, Will. How do you recruit kids from uni who usually go home for the summer? It's great for coaches and operational staff, but recruitment is tough. So how do you reconcile that? Now, I've got a particular answer for that, but this is your topic.
I can only talk from my experience, and what I would say is when I've coached at 2 separate universities, one big university and one small university. I've coached at the Chester Legion and I've coached at the MMU Eagles. Both had players and, over 10 who played for local teams.
Okay.
If you're born in Manchester and you're going to university and you want to play for the Titans, a lot of them will go to either MMU or the Tyrants. The same with Chester, and then what happened with Chester is a lot of the guys just stayed in Chester. They ended up playing for the Romans. They didn't want to go home. They had jobs. We're not talking about 16-year-old lads here. We're talking about 18, 19. They've got jobs. They've got girlfriends. They've got friends. A lot of them do stay. They might go home. They might go home for a week. They might go home for 2 weeks. But a lot of them don't stay away for as long as you'd think.
Yeah. So my other sort of point on that is that it shows a linkage between the senior structure or the adult structure and uni ball. So regardless of where they end up going, they'll feel that they can move from a university team to a senior team because they know that there's a connection between them. So I think that it sort of, while it may not benefit you in some instances, you'll get the benefit of someone else who is coming to your city, who went to uni elsewhere. I don't think it's I think it's sort of like what you lose, you gain. Plus, like you said, not everyone goes.
So for me, I think people are doing it for the wrong reasons. I'm a head coach of a university, and I don't try to get players to come down to my local club. If they want to come down and say, "Oh, where are you in the summer?" we say, we don't give them that option. We say to them, "Where are you for the summer? Here's your local team." We want them to go and play in the summer. It doesn't have to be us. For me, I'm not bothered. As a coach, my job is to get them to be better players and develop the sport as a whole. I don't care whether they go to play as long as they're still playing.
Yeah.
We've got another local team here. Up here, we've got the Northumberland Vikings.
Yeah.
So we've got some good guys in our team. They're a Division 1 team that should be pushing the Prem. We send our guys to them. Listen, you don't have to come play for Gator where I am. If you're too good to go for us, go over there. You're going to get game time. You're going to play for them. Do it. And people say that I am stupid for feeding another local team players, but I'm not bothered as long as my guys are getting to play in the season that
This is the level, the thinking that we see so often. And Stuart, who raised this question, me and him, I remember we've spoken about this before, where people don't think of it as community-wide or sport-wise. They only try and serve themselves. And all the time that you're thinking like that, have you ever heard of the phrase crabs in a bucket? So if you put loads of crabs in a bucket, one can't escape because the others put it back in. So no one can, no one gets to do anything better because everyone drags you down. And it's that stupid mentality that will continue to hold the sport back. So yeah, I'm completely with you on that, Adam. Stuart's popped up and said, where is it? He said, Shane, we're working with different demographics then. We've never had more than 8 guys each year stay in Brum after uni finishes. And he's put, that's what we do, Wilkins. He's called you Wilkins. It's Wilkin. At Brum Uni, we recommend the local adult side. And the local guys get told about the Steelers and the Knicks. Yeah, cool. That makes sense. So yes, but that's the attitude that we need. It's great to hear that they're doing it and you're doing it. Everyone needs to do it. I'm fed up of people self-serving in this sport. The sport isn't big enough, and you just shrink it by trying to serve yourself. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm with both of you on that. Let's move on to the next one then. So yeah, I think everyone agrees with you on that one, Will, unanimously. Well done, mate. And compulsory attendance to the coach convention. That's an interesting one. What's so good about the coach convention?
Everyone should go. I'm going to keep it short because we've been doing this for an hour and a half, and I don't want. Because again, I could talk about all these subjects for.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to have to split this up over a couple of weeks, which I don't mind doing. I'm loving this conversation.
I've been to the coaching convention, and we used to play a game of spot the team bingo. How many teams you could see, and how many adult teams are there in England? 120-ish, maybe less.
Do you want me to
90.
give you the exact amount?
On.
I'll have to open my my directory.
Anyway, I bet there wasn't half the teams there.
Right.
They do it. They did it in Nottingham, so it's the centre of the country. You know, I don't live near Nottingham. Nottingham's 2.5 hours from me, and I had to book a hotel to stay over. And yes, that came out of my own pocket. But
I think what you just talked about there are the reasons why. Travel.
Well, let me finish. I agree with Adam to a certain extent. That I agree with Adam that they should be subsidised by the clubs that they play for.
I agree. How many people are we talking about? Just 1 or 2 coaches?
Oh, there's as many coaches as you can go.
All of them. All your coaches.
Yeah. Well, definitely your HC, your OC, and your DC. Definitely them 3.
Okay.
See, so for me, I've missed the last few because the Jags run their little Jags camp on the same
weekend. They do.
And I'd rather go to that. I'm sorry. It's much better for me to go and sit and watch that than go and listen to people talk about cover 3. Like, I'd rather go there. I'm sorry, I don't need any more free pens.
Do you know what? For me, it's not so much about the learning of football as much as it, yes, that's good. But for me, it's about the networking as much as anything. Speak to other coaches. I remember sat down with an American coach over there, and we just chatted about football for hours, and we networked, and now we're friends on Facebook, and if I wanted to ask him a question, I can just message him. For me, it just helps improve the network as a whole. A bit like
what that really sounds like. Sounds like LinkedIn, mate. You can do exactly the same on that.
Yeah, but you don't have the same face-to-face interaction. I get what you're saying.
That is harsh, Adam. It is much different going to a convention than it is to. That's why conventions exist, right?
It's 2 days. It's 2 days in a year.
If it was 2 days in a year, if it wasn't on the same day as that, then yeah, no problem. I'd go.
Yeah,
do you know what? It's a massive problem.
You raise a good point.
It's a massive problem that we're in a country here where our American football, it's an amateur sport, and then the professional team kind of comes over here to help the amateur sport, runs their convention, because they have coaching sessions as well, coaching kind of training as well, the same day as the coaching convention. Like, just move your coaching convention. Like, don't have it the same week that the Jags is on.
Why does the coaching convention have to happen in the middle of the season?
I think what they do is they give buys, so no team plays on the weekend of the coaching convention.
I know, but so why can't they have it in the off season?
Start of the year. I'd have it at the start of the year before you go back in January. Maybe December. Start of December.
December, yeah. Why not? Why don't they do that?
If they're going to teach you new things and new techniques at a coaching convention, and say, listen, you should all be doing this. Have a go running your practice this way. Put it at the start so people can do it through the full season.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I do agree.
Yeah, I don't see the point of doing it in the middle.
The timing of it's awful, but I've learned every time I've gone. I've learned something, and I think that's a good thing about football or American football is you don't know everything. You just can't know everything. You're always learning something about some other position, and I have sat in talks that I don't necessarily care about, but I've definitely picked some stuff up, and I just think, I think it's it's just got to be compulsory for
I mean, for me, I'm not gonna lie, right? The type of learner that I'm like heavily dyslexic. Like, anyone that knows this will tell you that. Like, I cannot spell, I hate it. Don't even like my own handwriting. So I will not go and take.
Will can't even spell Wilkin.
Look over my shoulder. I know.
To be fair, it doesn't work like that. I mean, that's a misconception.
I know that.
It does not work like that.
But for me, I like. You can ask as many coaches as you want. I've probably messaged them on Facebook or something just to have a chat with them. And that's the type of person I am. I'll just randomly message someone. Like, for me, Don Edmondson, I'd love talking with Don. Like, I know he's not part of Edinburgh now, but
Edinburgh, yeah.
Like, what a coach! Like, if I've got any questions for him, he was just like he was just like, here's my number. And I've never met him before. We had a chat on the phone. Like, what a guy. Like, we need more coaches. Like, that'll do that. If every coach would be like, listen, if you've got any questions, just give us a shout. Like, Rooney at Durham, he's the same. Any question that you've got for him, he'll answer. What a bloke, man. Honest, that coaches need to be like that.
So,
problem is, right, and you're obviously quite outgoing with that, but not all coaches are. You know, there's coaches out there who think asking, you know, I firmly believe that no question is a stupid question if you don't know the answer.
Yeah.
You know, if I went to somebody and said what's cover 3 is because I genuinely don't know what cover 3 is. The problem is
you got 3 DBs deep.
I know what it is. I was a DB. But my point is, there's stuff about.
Sometimes you get a linebacker back there, but he's got to be quick.
This guy. But my point is, there's certain stuff. You know, you can't know everything in football. People won't ask questions. They just won't. You know. I mean, I've got a bigger problem with the coaching in this country, and it's probably not as apparent in the high divisions, and there's a reason for that. But I've got to be honest. When I played in Division 2, the amount of coaches who coached like it was 1975 was ridiculous. I remember a coach. So I was on the committee at a certain club. I'm not going to name them. We told our coaches they need to go in, you know, go to the coaching convention, go to CPD clinics, watch videos. And the next night we logged onto Facebook and this coach who coached in the 1970s said, I don't need to learn anything more about football. I've been doing this since the 60s. No video. And you're like, we're in 2015 or whatever year it was. Like technique and everything has moved on. Yeah. Like, and that's
what you tend to find is people that have been successful back in those decades feel even stronger that they shouldn't change anything, because they know how to do it. I've won a championship, I've got a ring, you know, and all that sort of stuff.
Well, my first playbook, what I ever learned was a playbook from like the 1975 Eagles or something stupid like that, or Alabama, and it was just like, you know, what the fuck.
That's been ridiculous, mate.
Mine was double wing, mate.
You know, but you know, it was just like I think it was a Texas playbook, but it was just like, you know, times moved on. Like, we're not, you know, it's not 1975. You know, it's 2015. Like, it's 40 years later. Yeah.
So we got a few comments from Stu again. Stu's been bang on this one, which has been fantastic. Cheers, Stu, for all your contributions. He said, and a really good point here. So how do you get American coaches over in December? It's right in the middle of the NCAA and NFL seasons. So that's a good point for the convention. I've got an answer for that, but then he's gone on and said also uni from September to March, adult from March to September. When's the off season? Women's youth, junior cadet, although they've now got different names. Flag, all got different seasons now. I think that's a good point. I'm not a coach, and so I don't. Surely there are people available that used to coach that can come across. Like I find it amazing that we can't. I don't even know how many people get flown over. Is it 2, 5, 10? But
10.
I don't know. I don't see. I don't know enough about it to comment on it. But does it have to be coaches that are actively coaching?
Do it on here.
Yeah, do it on Zoom. Get them to Zoom in for a session.
Yeah.
I think there are, but it is a good point to make. You know, you'd have a wider casting net.
I think the point was, don't do it the same day as the fucking Jags do all their shit, because it's the Jags, and they're all going to be.
Do the Jags do their stuff because it's the convention as well?
Oh, no. Do you think the Jags care about BAFTA? Because they don't.
No, but it may be that there are more people. They know that there are more people available because no one's playing any football that weekend.
Maybe, but I've known people mistrain. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Okay. I'd be interested to know from the guys who go to. You know, would you go to the Jags thing if you had training, Adam? Because you know, I've never been to the Jags thing.
Yeah.
There you go.
He loves the Jags, doesn't he? He's a Jags boy. My mate Chris has said Sitch, asking about when I'm going to be available to play Fortnite. Probably about 15 minutes, Chris. Oh yeah, sorry. And another point that Stuart made, I missed it. I'll come back to it. He said this comes back to CPD and the BAFCA CPD point system. I've never heard of that. Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah, basically the point system they've got now is you've got to earn so many points to keep the level that you're at. And then it allows you to earn enough points to be able to move to the next level. You basically got to hit so many points over. I think it's like a 3-year or 2-year period or something. In the conventions worth like X amount of points.
Okay.
I can get down for you how many.
Can I just say, like, every time I've been to the coaching convention, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, you know, on that, you know.
Well, I always hear really good things about it. Always.
I've really enjoyed it.
I'm not gonna lie, I have enjoyed it when I've been there. It just so happens it's the wrong
Jags.
time.
Yeah, I love the Jags.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's move on. You put as a nice to have directors and officers insurance. That's if they're a registered company, right? You're saying this to protect themselves, liability stuff. Is that what that is?
No. I'll associate. There's no registered company. Yeah, yes, if they're a registered company, but officers. So your committee, your board of committee is classed as an officer.
Yeah.
Again, this is like you in training. The insurance is my profession. I could talk about this for hours.
Oh, please don't.
No.
Yeah.
Adam just said it perfectly before when he said, in today's world, you can get sued for anything.
Yeah.
I think I've told you, and I'm not going to say it on stream, of the time I needed to use this form of insurance, where we got accused. Well, as a team, we got accused of ageism. It's just a protection level for all the coaches, all the committee, to ensure that should somebody make an allegation which is either true or false, they don't leave the houses, the cars, the cones.
Yeah, we need those codes.
And hold on, how many more have you got? Let's see, 1, 2, 3.
Fucking loads, mate.
Yeah, cool. Let's get through these. I don't want to skim over them though. I want to get through them properly. My ones will wait until we'll do next week, shall we? Because then we'll do the player stuff as well. Because I think I'll go on for ages about mine, just to let you know. No, let's go here. You don't think that this is controversial? Oh my god! You're saying Div 2 should have no youth teams?
Oh. Can't get enough coaching.
So if you're a Div 2 team, you have to get rid of your youth team.
Yeah.
So if you're in Div 1 and you get relegated to Div 2, your youth team have to go.
Yeah.
Right, Steve, just kick him out of the chat now.
No.
That sounds ridiculous, Will. Go on, but elaborate though. Tell us why you put that.
You make a good point. I hadn't initially thought about a Div 1 team that gets relegated. Div 2 teams can't get enough level 1 coaches. Yeah, I know of local Div 2 teams who have got 25 players. They're going to struggle to make the 35 players required by BAFA, but they've started their own youth team. And
there are youth teams that exist without a senior team.
So,
plenty of
them.
That's fine. That's fine.
Let's not say youth. We need to use the right vernacular. Under 19, under 16.
I have no problem.
So, what about me? So, who coaches at a Division 2 team, Gated, who has 13s, 16s, 19s, and we've got pretty much the same amount of numbers as what the senior team have, as well as a school program.
Did you know that the London Warriors started off as the London Cobras, which were the London O's youth or cadet team at the it would have been a youth team, wasn't it, at the time? They split away because Tony Allen had a ruck with Rick Ayub and created the Cobras. So so the best team in the UK now started off as a youth team, just a solo youth team, and they built their way up. Stuart has said you're getting well attacked here, Will. But Stuart has said bonkers. Are you reconsidering what you're saying here yet?
To a certain extent, yes. But
right, okay. You're saying it's burdensome for, maybe optional for youth teams? Maybe that's a better way of saying it. Oh, we lost Adam, but he'll be back. But I just think...
He will come back. No, what I want to say
if the team are trying to grow and have... Like, that's awesome.
I have nothing against youth football. This isn't an attack on youth football. This is an attack on the teams who will try and generate youth football program when their adult team isn't in a position to warrant doing that.
Right, I'll tell you what I'll give you.
But that helps it, right? Like, that feeds...
I will give you this.
It doesn't feed it.
Oh, shut up.
I will give you this, okay?
Maybe in 6 years it feeds it, but not
yeah, exactly, you fucking...
Right,
oh, my God.
What are you talking about? This, right? If you change the way that you're saying it, right, so they don't need a junior team, so juniors under 19s, and if you say that they don't need to have a junior team, but they can go from 13s to 13s to 16s, I'll accept it, because I think they should start at a younger age group anyways. But if you're saying youth...
Right, I've never... It's probably the one kind of side of football I've never been involved in, so I may call it wrong. What I'm going to refactor what I say a little bit.
Okay.
I think they should have a minimum requirement for Division 2 teams before they're allowed junior youth, all that sort of stuff.
And what's that?
I think they should have a minimum amount of level 1 and 2 coaches. They should have a correct committee, which is, public, no hiding behind anything. And they should have a minimum level of adult players.
But I don't see the bit that I think that I really don't understand from what you're saying is that you're saying that a youth team detracts from the senior team because of the coaches being spread thin.
No,
but I'm saying and you're saying that you're saying that players don't graduate from under 16, under 19 to senior. Mate, I've been at teams where we've won championships. I won championships with a group of lads that I used to that I helped coach as youth junior, whatever it was called at the time. Like eight players. The guy that runs Gridiron Hub with me, Hatch, was a youth player for the Knights when I was playing for the seniors.
Question though, what division were you?
Prem.
Exactly. I didn't say. I haven't said
one,
that.
Or Div 1 as well. We were Div 1. Oh no, and there's no difference. No, that's bullshit, right? So 2012, the Knights coined the phrase player safety, right? And it's been overused ever since. They coined the phrase. They was the first club to use it because I played for them at the time, and it wound me up something rotten. They withdrew from the league because they didn't have enough players, and they blamed it on player safety. And I hated that decision because I was like, we do have enough players. You just don't want to. You're worried about losing too many games, right? Anyway, we then had to re-enter the league and start back at Div 2, and we had under 19s, under 16s straight away. Like, it was fine. Like, and those players now, some of those players now are playing for the senior team. Okay, like, that's how it works.
I have refactored what I said. There should be minimum requirements for Division 2 teams to have youth teams. Creating a youth team, it has to be its own entity. It has to be able to be its own entity. So I'm all for creating youth, and when I say youth, I'm talking anything under adult. Okay, I'm not talking about any certain age group.
Right. Okay.
Anything under adult. I'm all for as many clubs as possible. I've being a level 1 coach, I thought about going into schools around here like Adam does to try and increase the amount of kids getting into American football. This isn't an attack on youth football. Like I said, this is an attack on the clubs who haven't got their own house in order, but somehow managed to, maybe I just think, there needs to be more structure in place for you to have a youth football club, and I think
that's a different thing. I think I don't think that's got anything to do with a Div 2 club having a youth team. I think that is minimum standards for youth teams to exist, and that's a different
Yeah,
I did change it and say there should be minimum requirements for a club. I don't think any club I mean, you'll get onto my next point if you know when you go to the Prem teams. You know, I'll say it for you now. I actually think every Prem team should have a youth team. This is a quality of football thing.
Completely agree. Yeah.
You know, this for me is a quality of football and quality of teams. Let's be fair, right? The Walney Terriers not even going anymore. If they'd have started a youth team, would they still be going? Probably not. I know the best players would. And then when they graduated the youth team, they wouldn't have gone to Walney Terriers. If they were good enough, they'd have gone to
this is the thing that people. Yeah, but this is where people get totally off the track. You shouldn't set up a youth and junior team just to get those players to go to your senior team.
Yeah.
But that's why Division 2 clubs do it.
If that's it. No, but that's you shouldn't be doing that. Like, our goal at my club is I don't want any of them to play for my senior team until they're older, they've gone away, they've gone to university, they've gone either NFL Academy, Bristol, America. Like, that's our goal. We don't want them playing for Gateshead.
Listen. Like I said, I'm coming to this from a committee level. I have been on a committee. We've had a conversation. Our recruitment's rubbish. It's shit. What should we do? Let's start a youth team. No, like. Doesn't fix the immediate.
Yeah, what were they trying to address with that?
Recruitment. Like, right. Oh, well, it will be all right in 5 years. Well, will we though?
No, because I think Adam and I are both in agreement with you. That's no way a strategy to feed recruitment into your adult team.
What I'm saying
it's got to be its own entity.
If you're doing it that's what I said to you. It has to be its own entity, and if you're doing it for the right reasons, then I will back you, right? But if you're just creating one because, you know, you want better recruitment or you want better local kind of, you know, marketing and all that sort of stuff, then it's just completely wrong. And maybe I was a bit harsh saying no Division 2 team should have.
Yeah, I think this is an all clubs thing and like minimum standards required for under 13, 16s and 19s, right? Like that's what I think.
I think it just needs the box moved along, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's all clubs and it's not no youth teams. It's like structure to them. Like they have to be independent.
Yeah.
And they have to be run for the right reasons. But yeah, I agree. Stuart, go on, Will. Sorry.
The other thing I was going to say, and this is by no means a dig at Adam, because I don't know, Adam from Adam.
Adam's a prick.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I'm a prick.
For me, a lot of the Division 2 teams that I see are coached badly, and I'm not about youth. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I don't want you coaching.
Oh no, that's a different matter. I understand what you're saying, but that's got nothing to do with. Like this is the thing. What you're saying here is that resource from that senior team is being used to coach the youth team, and we're saying no. Like you can't cross those lines, right? Like we're saying if you want to, like let's say you've got 10 coaches for your senior team or your adult team, sorry. You then need another 3 for your youth team, or whatever, whichever level it is that you go for.
Where do you get the 3 from? Where do you get the 3 from?
Isn't that the minimum requirement?
Yeah.
But where are you getting them from? Where are you finding them?
I don't know. Online. Tinder.
We're finding them.
Tinder.
We're finding them from the structure that we've got put in place that we're saying a minimum should be for the rest of the league.
Yeah, well, you could say that about everyone else at the club. Yeah. Where are you finding the coaches? Where are you finding the players?
Yeah, but you've got to remember, I'm coming at this from I've literally had 0 and 8 seasons. Like I'm coming at this from the right bottom of Division 2.
The dregs.
Like the dregs of it. Like there's 4 level 1 coaches, and when you say, well, there's a level 1 coach, there's a level 1, course in Manchester, you can't be bothered to go to Manchester, and you're like,
yeah, but so all it takes realistically is a handful of committed guys to get your full youth and junior program going. Like I started with a youth team. I made that mistake. I should have started with a flag team, like an under 13s flag, and it would have worked better for us. And I've openly admitted this for years now. I should have started with flag, and it would have went perfect. But I started at youth, and I had a few guys helping us bits and pieces, and then it grew. And now I've got a junior team as well, and I've got a few more guys helping us. And then guys that have left junior went on got a level 1, and they're playing for the senior team, and they'll also come back and help coach at the youth team. So they start at the flag, it's just a production line now. If just we get the junior players, because you've only got to be 16 to get your level 1. So we get them when they turn about 18 and they're not playing junior football as much. They go and coach the under 13 flag team, and it just grows itself, mate. Like, it's so, once you've got one, for me, for anyone that's wanting to start a team, I would say, don't jump into contact football and start it. Start an under 13s flag team, because you will get 50 kids turn up on a Sunday morning, and the parents will just go, they've seen it on the telly, they want to play. And if you get them hooked at that age, they'll stay throughout the full age.
You know what? Can you imagine? You know, I mean, I didn't find American football until you know my mid-20s. Can you imagine being in high school saying, "Yeah, I play American football"? Like, it's cool, isn't it? You know. But I did that. I would refactor it slightly. I think there's certainly a very strict minimum requirements that each club would have to consider. I mean, the first one would be no. You know, Adam didn't coach there, but you know. To be fair, Adam, you sound, to give you your credit. Like I said, I've not really met you until tonight. You sound like you care. Like I've come from an. You got to think I've come kind of from places where people don't care. Like they just, they just want to say they coach American football. They just want to say they're American football.
I've known Wilkin a few years now, and I think he's one of the most forward-thinking coaches in the game. And I don't mean to pay you a compliment here, Wilkin, so you'd have to forgive me, but he is. Every time I speak to him, we had a long chat the other week, didn't we? About some development stuff and academies and all this sort of stuff. And he lives and breathes this stuff, and he cares deeply, and that's why I'm so pleased that he's able to come on here. But yeah, I'm glad you're picking up on that as well, because Do
you know what, Wilkin? I wish every single Division 2 club had a Wilkin, and then I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. They can have youth and junior and all that stuff. And I mean that, like, you know, I'm being serious, but unfortunately, not everybody has a Wilkin. They have a guy who's from the 1970s going, well, you know, if we started a youth team, we could get a few extra.
We used to wear knuckle dusters. Right, I just want to catch up in the chat. So I think it's a lot of the stuff that we've been saying, actually. But it's mostly Stuart saying, I agree to a point where a new team doesn't have to have an under-16 team to gain associate status. Yeah, I think we should talk about associate status in one of these conversations. Obviously not now, but Stuart also said, but never should an under-19 or 16 team have to shut down because their adult team isn't good enough to and gets relegated or have no intention of gaining promotion. Yes, but I think that does fall in line with what you were saying. Like you said, you didn't think about it until I mentioned it, and I think we just need to reword that one and move it. It's about that those structures having independence from their senior team in terms of their intention. Stuart also said, Wilkin, thumbs up. That was when you were talking earlier, Wilkin. He was agreeing to you. And then I think it's Harry has said, can you ask Adam what a gibbon is? So I assume that's an inside joke.
Isn't it a monkey? Please tell me it's a monkey.
Yes. Right, it's from a game that we played. I'm not getting into it.
Good. Cool. So, guys, I'm going to end this one here because we've been going for quite a while now. I've really enjoyed this. I feel like I could make this 5 hours and I'd enjoy every minute of it. But let's end this one here. We'll pick up next week where we've ended off with. We may have Oz with us as well, as long as you guys are happy to do so. But yeah, I think this has been really valuable. And for those of you guys watching, I do intend to do something with this information. I want to put like some guidance together for clubs to help people with like either established or clubs just setting up to understand sort of what sort of things they can do and what they can have. And I particularly want to help people with social media because it's an area that I know really well. But I also want to get as many brains as possible involved in this stuff. So if anyone out there is interested in joining these sort of discussions, we're not always going to be talking about this subject. It's such a meaty subject that we're probably going to have about 2 or 3 weeks of it, and then we'll do something a bit lighter. But certainly, if you guys are interested in getting involved, and let us know. Stuart said, love the chat, guys. Cool. Thank you, everyone that has stuck with us. Thank you, Wilkin and Will, for your time and you know, I think what is always at a loss or a premium in Britball is conversation without there being insults thrown around. And I know we had a bit of a laugh with stuff, but they're like, a lot of people get their noses bent out of shape when someone suggests something that they don't agree with, and I see it online. And I think when someone types something out, they lose their you know, a lot of their meaning behind it and their positioning on it. And chatting about things in this forum, I think, is a lot more healthy. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So thank you guys. Have you guys got anything to say before we end this one?
I just want to say thank you for giving people the opportunity to be able to discuss this stuff, because it needs to be discussed and it needs to be discussed openly. So thank you.
That's cool. And Wilkin, anything from you, bud?
I'm always happy for people to listen. No one listens.
Yeah. No, but you genuinely enjoy it, guys. And sorry, what was that, Will?
Ask for subtitles next time for Wilkin.
Yeah, that's it. That's going to be the feedback. We should do some highlights of just Wilkin talking and just have a bit of a laugh of it. Yeah, Dominic said thanks. Cheers, Dominic. And he said, I bet the players one will be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the players one. And I think what I've discovered from doing this one is there's two angles of this. This is, I think, what we need to look at is like what does a player expect, but then also what should and a coach, but also what should like, so what do they expect from a club that they're going to join, but then what should be expected of them, you know, and what rules and framework should there be? Because that's what we've gotten a lot to here on the coaches one, and I think it makes sense that we have, because when I looked at this, I was looking at it from a person's perspective, not rules, regulations and stuff, but I wanted to have it quite open, and I'm glad, I'm not saying it's gone in the wrong direction. I'm really pleased we've had these discussions because they're interesting, but I think we need to leave it open as to like different angles that we look at this from, and I'm definitely looking forward to the coaches one. And then I'll change the third one from fans to like fan/club, so we look at stuff that like, yeah, like you said, that, or even league, like that we look at some more like wider rules for the league or structures for clubs or things that fans should expect. I think we can bundle all that together. But yeah, that's it. Cool. All right, well, let's end this one here, guys. Thank you again, and have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back next week. Say no to youth. That's your parting shot, is it, Will?